he got those all out.
Great.
Good.
How's it going, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful start to your night. Welcome to Trials of Imagination. We are a group of friends that like to get together every Tuesday night and play some Dungeons and Dragons. We've been off a little bit because I've been traveling and a few other things. We've had a little bit of a break since our last episode, but we are here now. So, if this is your first time here, like I said, we're the group called Trials of Imagination. This is our second campaign as a group together. We are going through the module known as Curse of Strahd. It is a gothic horror themed campaign with heavy homebrew influences. So whether you are new to Curse of Strahd or you are experienced with it, we have plenty of fun stuff around the corner for you because there's a little bit nods to the actual module, as well as a whole bunch of new stuff that is completely from left field and all over the place. So regardless of which of those camps you fall into, we got a place for you here. So we kind of just got through a major arc, more or less, and we're starting to do that. So it's a pretty big milestone. So most likely we'll have a Q&A coming up pretty soon to kind of celebrate that and kind of encompass the entire story so far. We don't have an exact date for that yet, but we'll have more dates in Discord and updates on the announcements at the beginning of the streams as we get closer to that. So, few announcements just to cover stuff before we get started. Most of you already know this, but if you're new here, you'll notice that once we get going, we do not engage with chat vocally a whole lot. This is nothing personal. We're not ignoring you or anything like that. We just have a limited time frame to do this, and we can't really stop and engage with chat too much, and it kind of pulls us out of the role play and a whole bunch of other different reasonings. So we just try to stay engaged and chat with you guys in chat itself. So we do try to at least respond in there, but if you don't hear us respond to you vocally, we're not ignoring you. It's nothing personal. We do see it. We'll try to respond there. We're just trying to kind of stay in the mode and give justice to the content that we're trying to entertain with, I suppose. But at the end of the episode, we do have a post-stream chat section to where we do the exact opposite, and all we do is talk about our highlights of the night and talk to you guys about questions and any other stuff. So if that is your thing and you were looking for that, there is a section at the end of the episode for that. Just know during the episode, it'll be chat only in terms of engaging with you guys. And if you see people that are new come in and they are trying to engage and are wondering about this, if anyone that sees it, just let them know so no one feels out of the loop and no one feels like they're being ignored, because the last thing we want is that. Couple of simple announcements. So we have a YouTube channel. You can do ! YouTube at any point in the chat, and it will take you a link there. That's where a lot of these episodes will live, so that you can watch them whenever you want, in spurts or in full, however you want to do it. That works for you, so that if you're not able to watch the entirety of the stream, that's okay. We have it for a later date, so you can watch it at your own leisure, whatever works for you and your schedule. And every single episode we've done so far can be found there, as well as this one. This one will go up on YouTube on Friday of this week. And if you don't want to wait for that, once this is over, you can still watch it on Twitch for at least 2 to 3 weeks before Twitch pulls it down. We have some of these episodes in podcast format. You can do ! Podcast in the chat. It will take you to a Spotify link, which will give you access to a lot of those. Not all of them are up yet, but there's a decent amount of them. So if you want to listen to it that way, that's one good way to do that. There is a merch store, so you can do ! Merch in the chat, and it'll give you an option for that. Any of the funny inside jokes and stuff we've had along the ways, and just stupid shenanigans, or the logo, or anything like that. There's a whole bunch of just fun little random things there, if you want to be able to see any of that. And several of us have some of the stuff, and it's very comfortable, so it's good stuff. And that's where we do giveaways a lot of the time. So even if you don't just want to buy anything, you can go look at it, browse it, and see, maybe have your something picked out in the future, so that if you win the giveaway, you already know what you want. There's also a Patreon. That is one of the things that was kind of requested of us from some people that wanted to be able to give without Twitch taking too much of the giving. So that's one of the things that we came up with that has the best option of that. So that is one place that if that is something you want to do, if you feel led to give in some way to this stream and to this group, that's where you can do that. And also it allows us to give stuff back to you in return. So, and you have a Patreon only podcast episodes that are released there from time to time. So some fun stuff there. And then I'm trying to think of, so that there's always stuff we're working on, and one of them is like kind of going back and forth, and I don't have any more extra announcements for it at the moment, but there is a big thing we've been working on for months. We just have to wrap up some few details to get it all squared away, but that'll be coming soon, hopefully, and that'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited about that, and it'll be a really cool thing, I think, to introduce to everybody. But that I can think of, that is all the announcements to do right here. We'll have a little bit to talk about once we get the setup going. Actually, it'll be easier to do this now because he's going to be an intro. So, SJ is officially on break. Or you can call it maternity leave or whatever you want to call it. She is in the last month of her pregnancy. It could literally, in a technical sense, be any time from now to a couple weeks, depending on the timing of the baby. So she is off and trying to relax and be comfortable. As such, we do have another member stepping in. Mr. Michael, aka Stormer, will be joining the fray as the character Tanner, which we have seen in an episode before, as well as not with him here, but in another episode as well. And he's going to be stepping in for the time being to fill that role as Tanner. So we welcome Mr. Stormer. We'll give him a better welcome once the cameras are on. But you will see him in the intro video, so I guess it makes sense to go ahead and introduce him now. So everybody's like, who the frick is that guy? Anyways, so that's that quick announcement. I can't think of anything else. If anyone knows of something that I missed, speak now, forever hold your peace. Any ominous voices in the wind?
The ominous voices believe there's nothing you
I'm sure there's a lot of ominous voices, but
fair enough.
only I can hear them.
All
I
right,
can
well,
hear some too.
if nothing else, so sit back, enjoy the video, and we're going to get started with episode 42 of our Curse of Strahd playthrough.
Just like the escalation of the Strahd chat.
And we are back. All right. How's it going, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful night so far. I got to move my camera over so I can be centered. This is Mr. Stormer. He's officially waving at you. You can go by Michael. You can go by Tanner. You can go by Stormer. You can go by Craig on weekends. Whatever you want to do. It's, anyone's game, depending on the day. We welcome you, Mr. Stormer. Glad to have you. Looking forward to what shenanigans will likely occur and frequently. So
nice.
Yeah. Anything you want to briefly tell anyone about yourself? Just as a welcome for anyone who has not met you before somehow.
So a couple people in chat already know because there are like 3 or 4 people from there, but I do have a stream as well that I stream on Mondays and Wednesdays where I paint miniatures. And what does the shirt say, Cal? It says, "Don't worry, I have a plan, Nat 1." And that's about it.
Wonder where you got that.
Don't worry, there's a plan. There's always a plan.
We'll never
I mean,
know.
you only need one plan, right?
He's self-promoted. Doesn't
Sometimes having a plan B is beneficial.
Plan B is running.
Plan B is stabbing you to death.
running to charge at the enemy.
No,
Yeah.
the other way.
Fair enough. All right. Well, nonetheless, welcome, Mr. Stormer, and hopefully we don't kill you in an episode or less, but no promises. You never know with a group like this. Stay on your toes.
Yeah,
So-
I've killed lots of people. What?
Not wrong.
Rocks fall, everyone dies.
So, last time on our Curse of Strahd playthrough, the fall of Valaki had taken place, and we were picking up the pieces in the aftermath of everything that was left in its wake, and our characters were faced with the reality of getting back together and seeing the aftermath and the true level of devastation that had occurred, that they only had really, each of them has seen just a fraction of, and didn't have the full scope of what was happening, as they were all spread out in different parts of the area. And all of them got together and were able to talk and fill each other in on a variety of things. We got to have a flashback with Zyle having Zeke come back to talk to him for a little bit, and added a little bit of a tricky dynamic to the whole relationship. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who didn't watch it, because I think it would be more justice to go see it, but essentially a shortened version is it's not necessarily so simple just to look at Zeke as a pure villain and hate him. Potentially. It depends on what you took from what was said, but that's the shortened version of it, that he said something that kind of threw a wrench in things and probably caused some people to question how they're viewing Zeke. So we got to see that, and then and the episodes previous, we got to understand who killed Ayla's father, who was also Zeke. So that threw some complications into things for our buddy Zyle, as well as seeing Idris and everything that came along with that. So Mr. Zyle probably going to be a little mentally broken at the moment. They found what turned out to be Henrik's head on the ground that was decapitated and just a head with no eyes left. And that was a bit of a shock for people. Nadar at some point had run off, so at this specific point, it was Elbreth, Zyle, Mark, Millard was there, but in the distance, kind of kneeled on the ground, spaced out. And they were getting ready to investigate the bones that had fallen down where Ismark was standing. And they heard a voice that shouted no, and then when they turned to see where the voice came from, they saw a figure walking up with a dwarf on his shoulder, and behold, it was Henrik carrying Nadar. So that led to a whole conversation of trying to figure out, well, there's your head on the ground over there, so what's this about? And that's when he kind of revealed that through a variety of things eventually, that he is cursed and cannot die, save for one person. So Strahd had put a curse on him that he could only be killed by one individual, and that individual was his wife. The caveat and true part of the curse was that shortly after instilling this curse upon him, Strahd proceeded to kill his wife. So he is now stuck, and he can be killed, and gave a long list of every different way that either he himself has killed himself or has been killed time and time and time again, only to wake up and start everything right back over again. And that is kind of his fate. So that was the explanation for why that was a thing, and why he was not present during part of the fall, because he was killed and then did not wake up until sometime later. Additionally, from a few different things, there's some sidebars here and there, but towards the end of everything, Henrik kind of posed him with a question of, are you prepared to do what's necessary to try and kill the devil? Are you prepared to do some difficult things and or go through some tasks that likely might claim your life even, but can result in actually killing him and killing him permanently? And with that, he opened a portal and walked through it, and everyone followed him through on that side. Eventually, Millard, who was spaced out, but he was still listening to everything, he just wasn't responding to any sort of cues when people were trying to talk to him, eventually got up and actually followed as well. So where we left off is with all of our characters walking through this portal with Henrik, not knowing where they're going, but having some form of mission in their head of what needs to happen. And that is where we left off last week. But more importantly, where we pick up this week. So, all of you, minus Mr. Tanner, because he has not joined the scene yet, have walked through this portal, and instead of seeing much of anything, which you kind of did at first when you stepped through, it kind of becomes darkness. But in a weird way. Kind of, if you've seen some of those movies where it's like someone stepping into a black room where it's just blackness, yet you can see each other clear as day. So it's not the same as night. It's just like a flat blackness that you can actually see each other in, or anything else that would manifest. How would you like to respond?
Didn't we leave off with Nadar still like knocked out and just being dragged along?
He had woken up, and remember he was put into a
yes,
kind of a chill state, so where he's
I remember that.
pretty calm. So if anything, he's probably like, I picture him borderline high and just looking around, just kind of being chill and happy.
Maybe less happy, but he's chill.
Yeah, sure.
He reaches for like the sky to just see how far up he can reach.
It's worth noting, even though it's blackness at the moment, you guys are hearing the sound of wind and trees and the occasional sounds like birds in the distance, maybe crows or ravens.
Did Henrik come through the portal?
Yeah, he led the way.
Okay.
So he's at the front.
Where are we?
That is a difficult question to answer, but in between.
In between what? This place is very strange.
Nadar just kind of absentmindedly pokes Zyle's back. Just, like not even trying to do anything. Like he's just there, just confused what's going on.
Well, you see, the trick here is that Strahd has a powerful hold over this dimension as a whole. So much so that he can control who leaves, when and where, and who is allowed to. He can prevent you from leaving if he wants to. Where you would not be able to no matter what you do. Now, luckily, he's not all-knowing and omnipresent. He can't be everywhere at the same time and can't see and hear everything. So it's not like there's some form of alarm going off when someone tries to leave necessarily, but there's a lot of things in place and a lot of eyes and ears in places that will prohibit certain things. But I've found a few methods over the years of some workarounds. Now, it is worth noting, this is not something to use haphazardly, and I cannot likely teach you how to do this. It is likely something that either will need to be accessed from certain vantage points, or will just require my presence to work. Because it took me hundreds of years to get this to work. I don't know if I can teach it to you in a day.
I think we heard.
I can learn it in a day because I have the biggest brain set of everyone.
That is false.
I don't think we need to learn how to come here. I think we're just asking, for what purpose have you really brought us here, Enric?
Ah,
And just trying to get a sense of where we are.
Yeah.
You
decent
guys can see
question.
we're in the black, right?
It is a fair question. A couple of things, Mr. Millard. One, privacy. We can actually speak freely here.
Strahd is probably spying on us. Wouldn't he have seen us enter here?
There might be a chance he saw you enter here. But he has no foothold where we are right now. No spies, no ability to hear here. So,
My next question is, if you can get us this far away from wherever we were before, can't you get us all the way back?
I wish it were that simple. Like I said, this is more of a in-between. It's not entirely separate from the dimension that we're in.
So like a pocket dimension?
I suppose that would be a good definition.
Like a piece on the edge of a chessboard.
Yes. That would be good.
It's not in play, but it's not out of play yet.
A fair metaphor to use, yes.
What's a chess? Nidara asks Millard.
It's something that Mark taught me.
Now, unfortunately, when using specific places that are outside of these, say, pocket dimensions, that is when things do become very dangerous, to where I've tried in the past with other groups, and that is when immediately either it gets intercepted, or worse, it works, and then Strahd enacts terrible vengeance upon the choices and will bring wrath and destruction down upon their homes. Because even though he is stuck here, he has many, many assets that are not. So you must be careful about how this is approached.
We've met a few of them.
How does he send his assets between the realms when he himself cannot leave them?
He can only not leave it because he is cursed not to. Not because he
But
does
who?
not gain the ability to. That is part of his curse. With the amount of power that came with the gift, or whatever you want to call the terrible nature of things that he accepted, it comes with a
So
price.
He's chained to the realm, but he can still open the door
Correct.
to send whoever he wants to.
That is correct.
What if someone standing outside asks him to come in, come outside?
He's No.
No one can talk to him from outside, right?
Henrik, he
Well, I don't-
told us that he wanted us here. Do you know why he wants us here?
I don't know specifically. I've been trying over a long period of time to truly understand why he continues to do this, because everyone paints a picture of him doing it as playthings or as to toy with all of you and just to have some sort of fun and to spay his madness for being captive here and not able to leave. But I think it is.
Do you have a general idea?
I think it is something more than that. I don't know if. I mean, perhaps there is some of that there, because it's been evident throughout times to see that the man is broken and has lost all sense of sanity. But it would not be wise to paint the man as a fool, to only be interested in something as petty as entertainment.
Has anyone ever tried to convince him to let them go? Like, every time we've encountered him, except for the last, he seemed to need us or to want us in some way. But this last encounter, he destroyed everything. He doesn't need us. Would he let us go?
I have not seen him willingly let any of these adventurers that he pulls into his domain. I have not seen him willingly let any of them go. Does not mean it is impossible. It very well may be that none of them have thought of what you just said, and perhaps maybe that is something worth at least considering, although a very, very dangerous approach, because that would involve you laying yourself
You could
before the
ask
devil.
him, though, right?
I mean, I can. I don't know what good that would do, but I suppose. I don't exactly care for the man very much. I don't think it would be a pleasant conversation.
What would he do if you came over to his place to talk with him?
Probably kill me. Because he has many times. He gets a kick out of it. And he usually will kill me and then somehow either figure out where I'm going to wake up and then just be waiting in there and then sometimes kill me again. But
Wouldn't you get bored of that after a while?
well, it's not like he does it every single time. Point is, we're not exactly friends.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's good me trying to talk to him with, and I don't particularly want to say nice things to that man. You have to understand the whole curse and killing of my wife thing doesn't exactly leave a good taste in my mouth in terms of when I think of Strahd. So,
Well,
excuse me
other
if
than
I
kill-
don't really want to exchange pleasantries with him.
Well, what things does he like that so we can do it rather than you do it?
What things
I think
he-
Henrik's right. I don't think we're gonna bribe him. It was just a
Now,
thought.
who said anything about bribing him?
I just did. Nada.
You did.
Either way, we've got to figure out some way. I don't know, to kill him.
Would that work? If he's, I mean, he's just dead, but then we're still stuck here?
In my experience, there's only two ways of dealing with people. You either pay them off, give them something they want so that they'll give you something you want, or you threaten them enough so that they'll give you what you want.
That's
So-
not two ways.
Miss Elbreth's question. I do have some insight in that territory, as there are a few adventurers, although very few, over the long period of time I've been here and watched this process unfold, that have successfully killed Strahd. You may ask yourself, well, he's still here, so this is the problem. Much like myself, I don't know the full inner mechanisms of his curse or the properties of it, but death does not seem to be permanent without certain things in place. Through a vast amount of research and studies, the link that gives him this devilry and this awfulness is of eldritch territory. I don't know if this term means anything to any of you.
The deep dark.
Yes,
That's what we called it.
Mr. Millard is right. Not particularly something to play around with. But if you know what it is, you can attempt to understand it. And to understand it is to be able to contend with it, potentially.
Okay.
It has rules, much like anything else does. But the rules are different for this type of magic than it is from where you and myself are from. It is not constrained to many properties like the others does. It's a lot more fluid in many ways. It's more of a natural thing that the world itself almost plays a part in this form of darkness and energy that just exudes from the world itself. It's very strange. But
It
is
almost sounds like the Doom.
it is connected to him and it is part of him. So if you can damage it, then you truly damage Strahd. Not just Strahd himself, who has likely been dead for a long time now, but the eldritch darkness tied to him allows him to be eternal. There are some artifacts and some weapons that have quite a few properties that are meant to either made by eldritch properties themselves or made to contend with them. Now, unfortunately, this is what I was referring to earlier as things we are going to need to confront members of the Seven to gain access to. But, per Elbert's question, if you can manage to defeat Strahd, and if you have several of these artifacts to achieve that with, not only can you kill him, but you can actually kill him permanently. If all you did right now was storm the castle and somehow overpower him, manage to kill him, it would be very temporal.
Okay.
The question still remains, though, would that solve the problem of us getting home?
Yeah.
Or would we be stranded here just in a land without Strahd?
Once Strahd and or the Eldritch power at B is no longer being a guard dog of the territory, you may go home. Nothing would be stopping you. You simply just need the access and the pathway to travel where you need to go.
Okay. Magic seems to work differently in this realm than it did at home. Do you know how magic works here?
I just dabbled into that a little bit just now, but the short answer of it is the magic here is a lot more fluid and natural in a way to where it literally exudes from the dimension itself, as if the ground beneath you has some form of magical energy that at any point in time can be summoned depending on whether the world wants you to have it or not. And it's strange because there's really no, from a sane mind, understanding when and how this world allows its magic to be tapped into. Some of it's sensible, some of it seems like pure chaos. But if you are not allowed to use magic here, then for whatever reason, the world itself is forbidding you from doing it. If you can use magic here, the world is allowing you to do it. It's kind of a weird concept, hard to really understand. I feel like sometimes I still don't fully understand it. But that's the best that I've come to grips with, it seems.
There were a number of times where I tried casting Detect Magic and I wasn't able to detect anything, even though, well, I believed that there was magic going on.
Very well could be the world blocking it. I mean, there's also no shortage of evils here that would delight in causing you grief. Even if little ways, if they could show up temporarily just to feel like you are helpless. If they can find a way to do it, whether it be a creature or a spirit or a member of the Seven or Strahd himself, whatever it is. Darkness, grief, and torment are the weapons that they choose to frequent.
Speaking of weapons, you mentioned some artifacts or weapons that we might be able to use against Strahd.
Indeed.
And I'm guessing these aren't going to be easy to acquire.
We'll have to kill members of the Seven to get them.
If they were easy to acquire, I think someone would have used them by now. So you are correct.
I meant it rhetorically.
Yes. You are correct in your rhetorical
Do you
statement.
have any information that could lead us, Enric, in the right direction? So that we can form a plan?
I not only have that, I can put you exactly where you need to be.
Well, we're all ears.
Each of the members of the Seven contain particular artifacts. Some weapons, some just actual artifacts, but they all have properties that will have great power and are not ones I would suggest holding on to permanently. But in a temporal sense, it would be able to allow you and your group to actually defeat Strahd, in not only to get you out of here, but in a permanent sense, so that when he comes back, if you did it temporarily, he has no choice, no ability to be able to come back and haunt you again. No doubt all of you have come across most of the members of the Seven by this point. Maybe not all of you individually, but collectively, I believe all of you have experienced these members.
Yeah, we've had escapes and bruises with them. And we've noticed that they don't take too kindly to each other all the time. So, looks at Nadar. We shouldn't have too much trouble handling them one at a time. If we all work together, looks at Nadar.
Oh, why are you looking at me?
Why are you looking at me, Nadar?
What? I don't know why you're looking at me.
I sat in an angle that I'm able to look at both of them.
What?
Together.
Who would Nadar? Who would we think is the weakest of the 7 that we've encountered so far?
Well,
That is a good question.
He points at Millard. You. Wait. Wrong team. Wrong group.
Besides me,
Uh. Nadar looks to Elbert. Which one of the two we saw do you think we could easily beat? Because I think it's the wolf guy.
I don't know about easily, but perhaps. I think it was Kanos had that awful sword.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like wolves. And they're really easy to kill.
I think.
But you can't just
Omen-
kill enough wolves and he dies.
I think Omen is one of the weaker ones because Millard was able to solo fighting against Omen, so that was very cool.
we can't do that.
What?
We can't. Not first, at least. We can't fight her first.
Why not?
Yeah.
I've made an agreement with her. It'd be probably best if we avoid her first.
Have you?
What sort of agreement?
It's best if we don't talk about it right now. I'll explain it later.
Back when we're not in between?
Right.
And Strahd can listen.
Sorry, I'm laughing at chat. The point is, I made an agreement, and she won't harm us, at least not directly. So that leaves us a little bit of safety. So we're not going to want to go after her first and start a fight.
So, what would happen if you told us the agreement? Why are you holding back?
Nothing would happen. It's not the most pleasant thing that I promised her.
If we cover Nadar's ears,
Looks at Nadar.
What? I thought we were in agreement we were fighting the wolf one. I stopped paying attention.
Should pay attention, Nadar.
I'm not a soldier, I don't stand at attention.
Look, I promised her that we would bring her bodies to play with. That she can
Why did you
mutilate
just
and
like
murder.
that?
She wants playthings. I don't plan on honoring it. But I had to make the deal. Or else Mark was gonna die.
What do you mean? I was up in the rope trick. You're talking about when we were fighting just a little bit ago, right?
Yeah. Look,
Yeah,
I
was
fought
up
her
in-
hand to hand. And you know I can fight hand to hand.
Yeah.
She was much stronger. There's no way we were going to win that fight. Not with what she had. So I made the deal, and that's it.
What did she have?
Look, she was stronger than us, Mark. She had us
What
beat.
did she have?
Doesn't matter.
It's alright, Master Millers. You likely did what you had to do in a very tough situation. There's not really an easy choice of where to start in this endeavor. But from the amount of research that I have in place, I think many of your comments have probably been correct. The one of the three I would suggest starting with would likely be Kenos, Ephraim, or Omen. Any of the rest would probably be a bit of a stretch to start with.
Okay.
Which one is Ephraim again? What is his do?
It's the very tall red skeleton. Summons undead. Kind of sort of has a giant undead lich dragon. It's a little bit of a problem.
That part would be a problem.
Looks in Nadar. Yep.
We
Th-
don't even think about it.
That would be a problem. Yeah. Kano sounds like the most logical option. Plus, we have the most information about him. We have at least one person who's hunting him already.
Oh, is that right? Who among you would this be? Don't all speak up at once.
Sorry, I missed the question because Crumbly said something distracting.
Matt Crumbly in the chat.
Millard said that Kinos would be a logical option because somebody in our party has dealt with him before. And
Oh, I didn't mean our party. I just meant like we had met Tanner, and Tanner's was hunting Kenos. That from Miller's perspective.
Sure,
That's what he was
right.
thinking.
Right. But the statement was like someone has dealt with him before. And then
Yeah.
Henrik asked,
Yeah.
who would that be?
And Nadar is still like totally confused and now less calm and confused and more like we don't talk about that.
I look at
And,
Nadar.
Mark knows very little about Tanner, so he's not gonna say, I guess.
Nadar, do you
Referring to
Well,
What?
I suppose that's probably something we're just going to have to remedy now, isn't it? And he kind of
Well-
takes a step, and suddenly you hear the sound of stone, and you look down, and you're kind of all standing on what is the outskirts of a very large circular platform that suddenly starts to kind of be visible in the sea of blackness. And on the other side of it, there is a blue glowing, or there's a stone archway that has blue energy glowing into the center of it. And I'll go ahead and activate it. That way you guys can see it. And on the other side, from where you guys are standing, is this archway with this blue energy. And through it steps an individual and begins walking towards all of you.
Is
And
it
as it approaches, some of you who paid attention enough would recognize him as Tanner, and those who didn't or completely forgot have no idea who it is.
Nadar just is all of a sudden
Depends on which of those group you fall into.
Nadar's
I
not-
don't think I'm
once again,
still.
it's Eddie Munson?
Oh,
I feel like I'm still like
No spoilers.
I was
no
starting to
spoilers.
like answer Henrik's question and be like, I believe he was referring to the nearly dead... that guy.
Nadar is now just engrossed with the stonework, and you.
So Henrik kind of just walks forward, and you see him now hold out his hand, and from out of nothing, you see a staff form, and a familiar sticky is now
Good
being
old
held
Sticky
by
2.0.
Henrik. It looks a little more intricate than when you've seen it. It seems a little more like a, if you want to use like Lord of the Rings, it's like a Gandalf type of staff as opposed to just a straight broken stick like what it seemed previously.
I like the broken stick better.
And then he
I like the fact that Nadar is now scared of a Gandalf staff.
he taps it on the ground, and you see the blue energy. Visibly, all you can see is that it kind of like gets a little darker, and just giving you some logistics. So it's like the center of it closed, but there's still like an opening on the front of it, but part of it closed.
Tanner? Is that you?
Barely. Yeah.
Turns around at the rest of the group. He was dead, right? We saw him on the road. Dead.
I think he
Didn't
was just
Zyle
injured.
bring him to the temple?
I thought he was just injured.
He was close, but not quite dead.
I'm standing right here. You could have.
Hey, from what I was back by the cart, and we just saw your body on the road. So, forgive me,
Obviously
Tanner.
not dead.
Oh, it's the guy!
Zyle, do you want to check to make sure that he's not dead or undead?
Are you a zombie or something?
Henrik,
Yes, my boy.
just tell them. Like,
Oh yeah, he's not dead.
thank you.
Could you poke him with the
Thank
stick
you.
to make sure?
You just see
He's
him.
a
Me with a
zombie,
stick,
isn't
I'll
he?
poke you with my knife.
Nadar pulls out his axe and
Wait,
pokes
wait.
him with the butt of it.
Does Henrik actually hit him with the stick?
Yes.
Nadar will poke you with like the butt end of his axe.
I'll try to take it away from you.
He just puts it back down. He's like, "You can kill me if you want to. It's not gonna do you any good. I'll be right back."
Henrik,
Harpy.
I got a question for you.
Ah,
Forgot my question.
well, that is an interesting way to approach a question. All right.
Great. Awesome. Great. Wonderful. Hula la. Whatever. Henrik, you and
Yep.
I need to talk.
Again.
Where's Luthrian? I can't find him in the city. I need to speak with him.
I'm sorry, my friend, but I'm afraid Luthrian didn't make it.
This better not be one of your silly jokes, Henrik.
He kind of looks at you, like, but with a serious face. I wish it were. That would make me feel a lot less empty inside for seeing yet another good person fall to this terrible place.
Tanner sprints forward, grabs Henrik, pins him up against a wall. You promised
Rocks.
he would be fine. You promised he wouldn't be hurt.
Yeah. He's just
Ooh,
he doesn't
this is
seem
gonna get-
Hendrik doesn't seem to be phased by this at all. He's just letting it happen.
Nadar cracks his knuckles and goes,
His blood is on your hands, old man.
"Or is this gonna get interesting?" It's like Kraken's like almost ready for a fight.
I have plenty of blood already on my hands. One more is not going to kill me.
Mark,
But
should we stop this?
it's all right, everyone.
As Tanner hears that, he pulls a hand crossbow, points it directly at you, says, "Come anywhere closer, and you'll be pinned to the wall."
I'm behind Mark.
He's pointing it at Mark. Then
You feel your Tanner. You feel your body. Like, did you point it at him?
yes, directly at him.
Okay. Well, as soon as you did that, you feel your body stiffen up, and then the hand that was holding Henrik is now holding nothing, and your crossbow hand just kind of like forcibly comes down. And all of you who saw you holding it in not even a frame of a second, like Henrik's just no longer there, and he's just standing to the side of Tanner now. Now listen here.
Oh,
Before he finishes, Tanner drops his hand crossbow and punches Henrik in the face.
You're like
You can't move.
you like can't move.
I-
Give me a save! No, I'm kidding.
Give him the save.
Plot!
uh,
Henrik's got that plot armor, y'all.
let's see. Sure. Why not? We'll see where it goes. Roll a strength check with disadvantage.
Oh,
That's
I thought it was gonna be a wisdom save throw.
I'm just see he's like trying to fight through it.
15.
15. You are just shy of where you needed to be. That was close.
On a flippity gibbet.
You start to move as like trying to make the gesture and move a lot more than Henrik thought you'd be able to, but you're like kind of like moving in slow motion. So he's just watching as his fist does this, and he just steps out of the way.
Henrik! I'm going to kill you.
Was it just me, or was that funnier to watch than I thought it would be?
He looks at you and like just you're still like kind of moving slow, so he just like pushes his finger and pushes your hand back, and then takes the stick again and goes poof, and smokes you on the head with it, and then looks at you, and then he grabs you and pulls you close. Your quarrel is with me. You point a finger at them, you point a weapon at them. You know I can kill you. You know that. Don't be stupid.
I'm pretty sure I can take it. The very beat up Nadar.
Luthrian died doing what he does, being selfless and putting himself in harm to save others. I was not there because I was dead. One of the 7 surprised me and incapacitated me by cutting my head off. Luthrian made a choice to sacrifice himself so that 2 of the members here may live. If that's not something that Luthrian would do, I don't know what is.
You owe me.
Well, can't really fix that right now, can we? Now, anyways, I think there's a proposition for you that you would find interesting if you may lower your non-existent redhead temper, because, you know, the bald thing. But there is a certain member of the 7 that I think this group would probably benefit from aiming at first, and I think you would also find interest in coming after this individual. Would you like to take a crack at Kenos?
Fine.
It's a lot more excited than I've seen him in a while. That was pretty good. You gotta learn to look for it. It's like in little spurts.
I think we got different vibes there.
Ah. Perhaps. I don't know. Maybe he just farted. I don't know. It's hard to read. There's similar vibes.
Do I smell any farts?
No.
No, but the area doesn't smell great.
Fart at that point.
You just hear the dart. Anyways. This group has taken it upon themselves to attempt the impossible, to do something difficult and kill the devil. Strahd himself is the end goal here. But to do that, we're going to need a few items to make sure that he dies and stays dead.
He's a vampire, so shouldn't a stake through the chest be effective?
Don't talk about things you don't understand.
Where's the steak? I would love a steak right now.
The only way, the only way to learn things, well, one way to learn things is by talking about it and
You really think if
learning from
Hendrik
other
wants you to
people
go
and
get some artifacts from the Seven, it would be as easy as simply stabbing him in the chest with a piece of wood?
Mark, I don't think right now is the time to be bringing up educational philosophy.
That sounds like the nerd's way out of this.
Especially with this gentleman right here. I think it'd probably be best to just listen to his plan.
Just ignore our friend Tanner here. He hasn't had pudding in a few weeks, and he gets irate when he doesn't eat pudding. Anyways,
I haven't had alcohol in a while. I'm getting pretty upset about that.
to answer your question, Mr. Mark, that goes into the conversation earlier with the darkness and the eldritch deity that is tied to him. It's not as simple as approaching a standard vampire in any regards. It is much more complicated and much more dangerous.
Okay.
You're not only contending with Strahd, you're not only contending with a vampire, you're contending with eldritch being, or beings, maybe even plural. They exist.
Maybe even singular.
He could be correct.
I'm hoping for that one.
Probably not a bad hope. Now,
You never told us your favorite color.
blue.
That's a good color. I like that color.
We concluded that was a lie.
Insight.
New guy.
Dang it!
What's your favorite color?
It's actually yellow.
They're on to me.
New guy.
Blue. No yellow. What?
Do I get to roll that insight check, or are we just gonna go?
If you want to, go for it.
Let's do this.
Oh,
Natural
man.
20.
Turns out, it's blue.
Nadar looks to Tanner and says, New God, what's your favorite color?
Shut up.
I bet it's 10.
If we're going to be a team, which it sounds like we have to be, I need to know your favorite color.
No, you don't.
I point to Albert and say, her favorite color is purple.
I don't
think-
care.
Did I get that right? He looks at Albert.
Need to get this man some pudding.
Why?
He's very salty.
Yeah, you did. I'm surprised.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite color is red. But that's also because killing things is fun. And a lot of things have red blood.
Some things have purple blood.
Some things do have purple blood. Those ones are also interesting to kill.
To speak frankly, Tanner, we would appreciate your knowledge in hunting canos.
I already said I would help. So then why won't you tell us your favorite color?
We don't need to know that, Nidar.
Tanner,
No, you won't tell me your color.
But we
Tanner
do
is,
need to know. We do need to know what we're facing with canos.
while Tanner hears this question, is already kind of looking at Nadar and just an irritated face. You hear kind of a sound to your side.
Where did he get that from?
Staring, look, and you just see it. Henrik now with a spoon, and somehow, like, no one knows where he got this from. He just has a bowl now with some pudding and is eating.
Tanner's just going to very nonchalantly take a step forward towards the group, but just flip his hand and flip the bowl out.
Attempt to hit the pudding.
Can I try and catch the bowl?
That was unnecessary. It was good pudding.
Can I try and catch the bowl before it lands?
You're like 15 feet away.
Yeah,
I know.
I
know. I'll roll a check with disadvantage.
with like double disadvantage.
I will roll 3d20 and take the lowest of the three.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's 4.
4.
Okay.
Jeez.
I
One
will,
of
That's
those
a
could be
long
nat
way
one.
away.
yeah.
I rolled a 4 for you.
That's a 2 plus 1, I believe.
Can't get any lower
That's
than
a
that.
3.
You go to dive for it, and your shoe kind of like catches on like a loose rock and just do kind of the Family Guy fall. Where there's no in between. It's just here. Straight down.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
what to next? Where should we go?
What are Canos's main abilities and things we need to look out for?
Matt,
Weaknesses,
what are Kenneth's main?
strengths,
So
common places of
Henrik steps
Current.
back up, like holding another bowl. Well, where did this come from? And then he throws it. The man is psychotic, broken in a lot of ways. The man has detached his own soul willingly from his body.
Pretty sure I'm also psychic.
And I don't have proof of this, but given the artifact that he specifically carries, a very powerful, very dark, dangerous weapon, I have reason to believe that not only did he willingly detach his own soul from it, he put it in the very weapon that he carries. So his greatest strength is also his weakness. You manage to get the weapon, or do anything with it, you have Kenno's soul.
Can I make an intelligence check on that?
For what
Or-
for what intent?
Arcana.
what?
Is he a lich?
Is who a lich?
Canos.
Kenos.
I don't know how you would surmise that from that.
Well, actually,
That's
that's
what.
because he put his soul into an object, which would be his
Oh, well, I mean-
phylactery.
Well,
Yeah.
what I mean is like all you have is just that data. So like knowing whether he's a lich or not, like it's
You can make that assumption, but
Yeah.
you can't.
I'm
Like,
wondering if
I know
could
it.
make maybe history check as to what I know about liches
that would be a history check. I mean, sure.
or religion. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, just make a history check. It would be the easiest way to do it, just to see what your knowledge is on that material. But it would just be a deduction or assumption. There's no way you're going to be able to know either way.
Okay. 24.
Okay. So you would have pretty extensive knowledge on liches, so that would be something that seems like an example of
Okay,
something
here's my
a lich
question
would
then.
do.
Is he a lich? Is that like that object his phylactery?
I do not believe so. To be truthful, I don't know. I don't have all the answers.
Okay.
We simply need to acquire the weapon, is what you're saying now. We don't have to fight him.
If you manage to take that away from him, you are holding all the cards. Especially with the strength that all of you would have as a group and together. And taking away his most potent weapon that has something so incredibly essential to his existence. You would be holding all the keys in your hand.
All right.
It's easier said than done, granted, but yes, Mr. Millard is right. You don't necessarily have to fight him to achieve this goal, although I would be rather impressed if you managed to pull that off.
Okay. So, from here we should head towards Kenos's lair, I guess, right?
In a manner of speaking, yes, that is... would be the plan, I suppose.
Start the Ocean's 11 montage.
Yeah.
Gotta be a montage!
We need all the montages.
You know, where they go through all the crew members and their little jobs and everything.
Nadar, you're the muscle. Millard, the key.
We're in.
I don't know what Tanner does, so I can't make the joke for Tanner.
Sure.
Oh, he's
Mark,
the face man.
The brain. The face of the group now.
The face man.
Oh boy.
So,
Might need
Mark-
some work.
Marcus the brains. Alberth is the backup. And Zal's the getaway driver. I don't
No.
know.
So all of you, or perhaps not all, but have dealings with Kenos in some capacity prior to this, yes?
Yeah, he's a coward when he portals away when he's getting beat.
You've also dealt with the creatures that he typically has the ability to summon, yes?
Are those the things that come from the floors and walls?
Yes.
They're called ostriches.
Screw them. I hate them. They're gross. Let's go.
I don't think they're called ostriches, but if you have stories
No.
if you have stories of those coming
Nada.
from walls and floors, I want to hear about this later.
Nada, they're called ostriches. I'm only talking.
I'm gonna call them things, because I'm not gonna rip it.
How
see-
about you
you-
listen to Henrik and shut up?
You guys actually see Hendrik like lean over to his staff, like, is he actually talking about an ostrich? If he is, I want to hear this story later. I can't tell if he's being sarcastic or not. I don't know. He's a hard man to read. Then just looks back as if he was not talking to his stick just now. Creatures known as Bodaks. Dangerous. Once individuals, but they are long, long removed from that.
Oh yeah, those things they killed those. They almost killed us. Like,
Yes.
all the time. I think they almost killed me.
It'll
Maybe.
save you all some trouble if you run into any of those beings, which you likely will, dealing with these individuals. Do not try to speak, do not try to reason or rationalize with them. These are creatures of instinct and just pure will to bring death.
Henrik,
Oh, we stab on sight.
Right.
Sure.
Henrik, the most we fought is 4 of them. How many does he normally keep with him, or have the ability to summon?
To be honest with you, I don't know if there is a limit.
Well, that's not encouraging.
So we
But
should
helpful.
have to get something that would allow us to deal with a lot of them.
Well, there's no sorts of thoughts and strategies that should probably go into this, but know that where you're going, I'm not going to be able to put you at the feet of Kenos immediately, but I will put you in his territory, and it'll be up to you from there to find your way and deal with the problem.
Okay.
If those things almost killed me last time, I don't know how well I'll hold up this time. Nadar looks at like his bloodied arms, like it's the dried blood on his and whatnot. Because we haven't taken a long rest yet, have we?
Not yet.
No.
Henrik, you've seen other adventurers come through and fight these things. What have they had success with?
A variety
Yes.
of things, I suppose. The Seven is a creation of Strahd. It is a ever-moving pot. It's not always been the members that you see before you. When one falls, he finds another to take its place. So there have been people like yourself who have come and successfully defeated one or two, but never any that have, well, clearly never any that have fully succeeded.
Against these Bodak creatures.
The Bodak specifically, that is one that is a little newer. Kenos is a more recent addition to the crew, probably the best. I don't know an exact, but less than 10 years, probably.
Right. So, not as many trials, I guess. That's disappointing.
Yes, you will be a little bit of a point of research, I suppose.
Looks at Mark. We love being research experiments.
Sorry?
No, I'm not speaking to you. I'm just looking at you.
Okay.
Pardon? So, here is my suggestion. This is a safe place for now. I've never had anyone find their way here in hundreds of years, so it is at least safe to assume tonight it will remain such. So,
Okay.
you've all been through quite an ordeal. I suggest you find a place, get some rest, and then figure out
Are
how
there
we
any
would like to
creatures
proceed.
here?
Are there any creatures here? No.
Yeah, like. Okay.
How about beds surrounded the rocks?
I'm okay sleeping on rocks.
I'm sorry, I
I
didn't
prefer that.
pack any beds in my hood.
What you
Okay,
had,
bedroom.
pudding.
Nadar pulls out his bedrolls. Like,
You
who
see-
wants it?
You just see to Tanner's remark is like, I haven't had pudding yet. Oh, look at that.
You
Man
know,
has room for 3 puddings, but doesn't have room for a bed.
Who has pudding?
Nadar
Oh,
tosses
I know.
his bedroll to Millard. Here, you take this. Can I have a pudding?
My God.
I'm gonna go start.
This is a
I'm gonna start
dwarf-sized
setting up the
bedroll.
bedroll.
Quite dwarf-sized.
It's been an exhausting day. I'm gonna kind of nudge Mark. Hey, how do you think he tells if it's night or day here?
What time of day is it?
No, like how do you think he tells when it's just all black all the time? I figured you might have a
Do we
guess.
see the ground?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, given the nature of what you're in, and like, so like the things that are visible is just like almost this makeshift little spot and around you, but like around it is just flat blackness. Not the same as like being in the woods, where like at least then you can see silhouettes of trees and stuff, right? It's just flat blackness. So it still seems like very much this like almost artificial, non-existent thing that is. I don't even know a good way to put it other than like a imagine a dream sequence, some sort of just blank slate of blackness, yet it's very visible, and there's just this spot that you're on that just happens to be visible where you're standing, but everything else is dark.
How do you know what? No, Miller just asked me that. I don't know. Maybe you can look outside through a portal, maybe to tell what time it is outside.
Yeah, maybe.
You should ask him.
No, I'm going to bed, Mark. I need the rest. And then I go set up the bedroll.
I have one final question. Do you know where Elbreth's brother is?
I know where I think he is.
Where would that be?
Inside the very castle itself.
You think he's captured?
Most likely.
Captured
What? Wouldn't Strahd want to kill his opponents?
Sometimes. But people in this line have thought that he is often see people as an asset for his own twisted machinations. He would not want to, in his mind, waste potential, which is a good example, I suppose, would be the unfortunate event of your friend Idris. I don't know the full extent of that story, but instead of simply letting that member kill him and letting that be that, he chose to make use of it. I don't know particularly what ends he aims for in all these things, but unfortunately from that group, his Zelia, I think, is the only one that made it out, and I fear the rest will likely be used as some form of something. To what end, I don't know.
I remember my question that I was wanting to ask before. Where is Azalea?
She's
Ayla.
So two different people, which one?
Ayla. Where's Ayla?
Who are you asking?
Not Ayla. Azalea.
Who are you asking about?
Azalea's the
So
one
confused.
that we had for briefly, right? And then Ayla
Yes.
is the one that's been with us
God.
for a long time.
And Henrik
What are you asking?
brought her out of where did he take
Right, that's what happened to her.
where did you take Azalea? No, Ayla.
Azalea.
Yeah,
Don't know who we're asking.
I forget.
You're asking about Azalea, the one from the last campaign.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Azalea.
Azalea.
The
Okay.
gnome that Henrik took.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm just picturing that this is all Mark and not Liam.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just like, I don't know. All females are the same, right?
Gosh. Okay. She is safe. She is in a remote area of the world that is not easily accessed and is unbeknownst to the vast majority of people, including anyone here, and I will keep it that way for now for her safety. But she is safe.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Zyle, you've been a little quiet. I'm sure you're shaken up a little bit, no doubt. But do you have any particular questions before this arrest and moving on to this difficult adventure?
He's been the whole time just kind of been 1,000 yards staring, halfway paying attention. But when you address him, he does kind of look over at you. I just need to go know who I need to stick a spear in to get Ayla back.
Gee, why can't the rest be like this guy?
Kindred spirits, brother.
He's unfortunately, I think you already know the answer to that question. If what you said is true, and he's talking about your portion of the story, which is Ayla being taken by Zeke and everything that transpired with that. But I don't know.
I suppose that.
Good.
I suppose that road starts with Kenos then.
Perhaps so. I don't know what I am fully capable of in this situation. I am not all powerful. I am not incapable of failure. I can't do everything I seek to try, but what I can give you is my word that I will do everything within my capability to ensure that this group gets Ayla back.
Quick sidebar there.
Sure.
This man claims to not be all powerful, and yet has unwittingly conjured 3 cups of pudding in the last 10 minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
Nadar's also asked for one.
Doesn't matter.
Has he got his pudding yet? Does Nadar have his pudding
Well,
yet?
there's been like several he's like
Panther.
thrown, so you can just grab one from the ground if you really wanted to.
Yes,
I
but
didn't
Nadar
know.
doesn't eat. Nadar doesn't
Wow.
eat ground pudding. He'll eat ground
Ah.
rocks in case they're
Fair-
chocolate. But
fair
he
enough.
won't eat
We
ground
not
pudding.
use the term ground pudding. It just sounds
Yeah, it sounds like a bowl of ground beef.
That could be a monster, actually.
You put the pudding in your pestle.
Right.
You put it in your pestle and you grind the pudding up. And you
Yes,
have
because
ground.
Nadar has a pestle.
He does. He's got a rock
Definitely.
pestle.
Back to Zyle. He will just say a very simple, but if you know anything, Henrik's been around him probably enough to pick up on his bearing a little bit. He would know it's just a simple but very sincere thank you.
So there's no fish in the ocean here? Or water here?
No.
How does that even mean? Of course there are fish in our water.
There's no life here other than all of you. This is technically a fabricated dimension, so the only way life would have been here is if I brought it here.
Okay.
You did bring pudding here.
Pudding isn't life.
Are you
Well.
sure about that?
Pudding is life, but pudding is not alive.
You just see Henrik holding out a hand to Tanner that now he's like has a second cup of pudding that is now just holding it out to Tanner.
Just gonna flip it.
And this, friends, is how we ended up on a 2-episode discussion
Pulls this up.
Pudding.
philosophical ramifications of pudding his life.
Tanner wakes up and
Pudding
runs
is-
immediately into a pool of pudding.
What is happening? Oh,
He's like, I need to meet. Dives into the deep end of the pudding pool.
everybody thinks they're like D&D is just about like deep narrative roleplay or these stat battles. No. It's just about
Pudding.
random throwing of philosophy of conjuring pudding and the ramifications of what this means.
Some random throwaway thing is going to become the core idea of a campaign.
The
That's
fact
why I
that
want
there's a T-shirt that is just meep.
That's
Speaking
true.
of, where's our
Proves that.
bat?
Yeah.
I know. I'm really worried about
He can't
that.
make it in this
Oh.
pocket dimension.
Nope.
We haven't
sure
for a
about
long
that?
time.
Gosh,
Where
that would
the-
be
I'm sure
funny if he
because there's
did
no
though.
life here.
That would be funny if he did
There's
though.
pudding.
It might be Henrik's bat this whole time though. So
I believe that.
Now, is there anything else any of you would like to discuss before sleep time? You see him
But
hold another hand out to Tanner and just another thing of pudding.
you said you don't know why Strahd would have done that to Idris instead when the other guy killed him. So are you saying that he was not one of the 7 the whole time, and that only when he came here, only when he died?
That is correct.
That makes me feel a lot better.
Oh,
That is interesting. That I don't know why that would make you feel better, but okay. I'm glad I could help.
do you remember if this place, he kind of motions towards just all the stonework and whatnot around, like, was this all here when you found this place?
Son, I don't remember having pudding right now. Do you think I remember that?
Speaking of which, where's my pudding?
Here you go.
Thank you. Starts eating pudding.
Hold another one out
Jar
to
of
Tanner.
Henrik, what are the Ravens gonna do to help?
They're gonna get us. Wait, but what are birds gonna do? They're birds.
The fall of Valaki was a heavy toll. Especially with the loss of Luthrian. The Ravens will need to regroup. But rest assured, they're angry. And I think they are ready to come against Strahd more than they ever have been.
Who are the Ravens?
Some people you will meet soon. After
Cowards who aren't willing to do anything up till now.
that is one way to put it, I suppose. Man really needs some pudding. I keep offering it to him. He's just ejecting it. It is a...
This is some great pudding. You should really have some.
I agree. I've always wanted pudding. I haven't had any in a long time.
The Ravens, Henrik.
Oh, yes. They're angry and more ready to help than ever. They're just going to have to regroup and assess their losses and figure out how to move forward, but they are prepared to help in any way that they can with this mission.
Alright. We should get some rest, I guess.
Probably a good idea. Maybe I should have suggested that earlier. Perhaps you would like some sleep. Oh, look at that. That one's already laying down. Points at Millard.
Nadara's like just kind of been sitting here, and once he's finished his pudding, he pulls out his drum and starts beating his dwarven marching tune.
But, you know we can't sleep when you do that.
He just kind of ignores him and just keeps padding away until he falls asleep.
Anyone
Is
else?
he standing up? Is he standing
Zal
up or
passes
laying
out
down?
right
I don't
where
think
he's
I can
sitting.
tell.
He's kind of just sitting there. That are just sitting there and doing this.
He's always the same height. Either way, it's weird.
Alright, Mark takes a walk down over here to try and find this nice spot where he's away from Nadar's noise to sleep.
Okay.
Last thing Nadar says as he drifts off. That was some good pudding.
Hannah goes over and looks at the bowl, and it's definitely just a bowl of mud. Henrik,
Yep.
this is mud.
I mean, I suppose this is like a little more of like clay, or perhaps like a thicker thing. I don't know. Maybe even like a dip soil or dip with some form of,
Well, when you look at the bowl, you also notice it's mostly cleaned out.
upper layer of crust typing. Oh, you're talking about in that bowl. Oh,
Nothing
That
like
one
a
is-
little topsoil for your nightcap.
where did he get mud from? I swear there was pudding in there.
Swear to God, if you didn't actually make sense sometimes, you wouldn't ever make sense. And somehow that makes sense.
See, now you're getting it. I don't know. Sticky, what do you think? Well, that's rather derogatory. That was unnecessary. I'm not going to repeat that, but it.
I feel like Sticky would want to hit Nadar for no reason,
So,
too.
Tanner puts together a somehow beautiful and poetic string of curse words, half of which this group has never heard before, pointed both at Sticky and Mr. Henrik.
Counterpoint. Zyle has probably said them before.
Exactly.
What language were they in? Because Nadar might have said them before, too.
You just see Henrik, like, pull out some glasses. Again, pull out a notepad. Pull out a pen. What was that 8th word again? Haven't heard that one before. Gotta write that down for later. Also, I've never heard someone use a string of words and then use a metaphor of a lobster somewhere in the middle of it. That was an odd segue, but I suppose it's something worth noting.
If you were actually able to die, I swear to God, I'd kill you. Knowing my luck, you would then turn into a ghost and haunt me for the rest of my days.
Meep, 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 meep.
Even the 9 hells would reject you.
Nadar's snoring also includes a couple meeps here and there. Because we haven't had enough meeps in a while. Meep, 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 meep.
He stares.
Away.
Oh. Hey, Tanner. When do you get here?
Oh, this is gonna go great.
He turns to the rest of the group. And somehow you people listen to him.
We don't have a lot of options. It was him or Strahd.
I'm just kidding. Sorry, I zoned out for a second there.
Your whole life is a zone out.
Look out, ladies and gentlemen. He has burns.
Your mom's a burn.
Joke's on you. My mom's been dead for thousands of years.
Good thing she doesn't have to live to see you now.
Potentially so, I suppose. So, would you like to go to sleep, or do you need help from Sticky? Because he'd be happy to oblige.
Touch me with that one more time and I will break it.
I don't think that's really possible.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Or a bunch of dead people fighting over assets, but yes.
Who would win? One big burly soldier or one stick?
My money's on the stick.
The fight of the century. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
You, nerd, turns to Mark. Can you cast fire?
I am asleep a distance away, so I really do not do
And I'm sitting here like
This is going so well.
You're hearing the leaps.
I just wish that was Mark. He's just laying there. That sounds exactly
Raises his
kind
head
of
up, cracks one eye.
No, he
am
casts
sure-
he casts sending, and all of a sudden I just hear in my mind, I'm asleep.
It's like a parent, but like, I hope I didn't just hear you talk because I think I remember telling you not to say.
Oh my gosh. All right.
I can do it, Tanner. So.
Okay, so who all still
Wait,
awake
what?
at this? Who all still awake at this point, other than Tanner and Zyle?
I mean, Nadar can still be awake because he's right there.
I'm asleep.
Miller's asleep. Mark's asleep. Nadar's probably
Nadar's like
probably
Nadar's-
getting there.
Nadar's just kind of beating his drum and going meep a couple of times.
This is like prime entertainment that you can't get elsewhere in Barovia, so Albert is still just standing there, just like watching, like. Well, carrying between the two.
Okay.
Are you two done?
Are you done with that stupid drum?
If you're thinking what I think you're thinking, it's not gonna end well for you. Nadar says as he keeps beating his drum. To the tune of Diggy Diggy Hole.
Oh my god.
What? That's
Lady.
his marching song.
You just hear, ladies, you're both very pretty. Now shut up and go to bed.
Henrik, can you cast silence around him?
And cast silence on your face.
I like that idea better.
I could walk away.
Bye.
Very well. Turns around, starts walking away.
You never told me your favorite color.
My favorite color is the color you bleed the next time I strike you.
So red. It's cool. We have some.
So unnecessary. What's that, Sticky? I don't know what that word means. Oh, well, that's rather mean. Okay, well,
What Sticky say?
you don't want to know.
I really do.
He didn't call Tanner a very nice word.
Oh. Did he call him a pointy-eared leaf lover?
No, that would have been a lot nicer.
Yeah.
I'm a human, you short stack.
Pointy-eared leaf lover.
He doesn't understand races.
You're right, I don't understand racists.
No, races. Open your ears.
We dwarves. We are very much not racist or a race. We are just the best. We are everything.
This is just completely shifted into a territory that I didn't anticipate this going.
Yeah. No,
That's like, I'm getting uncomfortable.
No, it's like,
Where are we?
land the plane.
and fade to black.
Yeah. All right. How about all of you go to sleep? And then,
I think
Once-
I heard Sticky say they want to help me get to sleep.
okay.
Here, I'll help. He's gonna walk over there and deck him.
Nadar will try and block Tanner's attack, not stopping Hendrik.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, both of you roll a d20.
That's a natural 20. Let's go. Total of 12 bludgeoning, if you'd like to know.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, that would knock him out anyway. I only have 4 health, and I'm not raging.
Well,
So it's just anyway.
Nadar, you
You're gonna
get
wake up and Nadar's gonna be dead.
Nadar, you get decked and go unconscious. And then Tanner, you get to kind of like have a brief moment of like smile or surprise before seeing some form of like brown object go whoop. And then you go unconscious.
Oh no, my knife fell on his drums.
Zal, who's
God help us.
laying down, but he's gonna hear the thwomps, and he's gonna crack an eye and just try and ascertain basically what happened here.
I mean, you see.
Elbrith is just backing away, be like, and goes and finds some spot away. If this is how people are going to sleep now, like, just gonna.
So he sees the what I think would hint to him would be a very clear fist mark on Nadar's face.
Yep.
Right? Am I
Yep.
out of line saying that?
No.
And then a nice red streak across Tanner's forehead, and he's gonna like shift the cracked eye over to Hendrik and say, "All this time, that's all I had to do."
Seems to work pretty well. Sticky is very persuasive when he needs to be.
He pulls out a
Sticky's new
notebook
name is now Night Night Stick.
and jots something down in a notebook, closes it, and puts it back in his satchel. For the players, he wrote, "Get myself a sticky."
I was gonna say, I thought it was gonna be like acquire stick.
Hey,
Check
Nadar has one. You just have to find him a new handle for his ass.
Alright, so that leaves just Zyle and Elbreth now. So what are you two doing?
Yes, I'm just shaking my head and walking away.
Walk away where?
I don't know, some whatever the spot.
Away from the crazies.
Okay.
Yeah, like I don't know. Let's see, there, so I'll just kind of over here.
Nice. Are you going to like lay down and try to rest?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Zal
Apparently
was
I
already
don't have
laying
to.
down. So He'll just close his eye again.
Okay, so collectively, everyone is now asleep. And you just get, this is just for the viewers and players, as none of the characters will hear it, but just have Hendrik kind of, good night, everyone. Get as much rest as you can. There's a long road ahead, and you're going to need it. But I believe in all of you. If any group can do it, it's going to be you. And that is where we'll end tonight's episode.
Totally thought he might turn into Strahd.
And just murder us all. Right there.
Ha ha! All of you are asleep now, you fools.
Got him.
You can't fall asleep in Barovia.
We're not in Barovia, to be fair.
Yeah, kind of like,
We are and we aren't.
yeah,
We're in the
exactly.
We're in the place.
We're in the upside down.
Pretty
I
much.
thought we're in the right side up.
So that is going to do it for tonight's episode. Thank you, everybody, for watching up until this point. We are transitioning into the post-stream chat section of the stream. So this is where we actually engage with you guys, answer any questions that come up in chat, talk about our favorite moments of the night, and just talk for a little bit before wrapping the night up. So that being
This is
said,
where we get to debate more about our pudding.
Lord, I hope not. So we'll go ahead and start, because I know, it's still fairly early, so but we'll let Jay go first in case you need to hop off anytime soon. So from Mr. Millard, Mr. Jay, what is the highlight of the night for you, sir?
The whole Elbereth challenging me on what the deal was pretty fun. I thought that was
Yes.
really good, and then the setup to bring in Tanner, where it was like, oh yeah, we have to kill this guy, and that easily is like, oh well, we know someone who's hunting that guy, we'll get him.
Mm-hmm.
So that made sense to me.
And Henrik's like, okay. Portal.
Aren't you dead? I'm not dead.
I'm standing right here.
I'm not dead.
Sorry.
Could be
totally,
undead.
You totally looked dead last time I saw you looking dead.
Well, because we last left you dying in a building that is now destroyed, and the priest got killed. So it's just like, I don't know who fixed you.
Yeah,
Your
out of all the people in Barovia, you were the one we assumed were dead. So, but
out of all the people in Barovia, the guy who was half dead didn't die.
This
yeah,
invaded at the start of the morning, so I guess I just figured that he would have woken up and left the building, maybe.
Mark is the only one who believed in you. Yeah, but the big thing was like I was really challenged by Elbereth, who I feel like Bex just wants to know every time Miller does something wrong. It's like, wait, what did you do? Tell me everything.
Yeah.
It's not because
No.
she cares. It's just like, ooh, spill the tea.
Well, no, because my thought was kind of more of like she wants Miller to be honest, because this is like, what are you afraid of? Do you think we're gonna like ditch you? Do you think we're gonna like beat you up? Like, what do you think's gonna happen if you just tell us the truth? Like, we need to know the facts, and so she just kind of wants him to be honest, and also thinking that it would help himself to learn to be honest with people.
Okay.
It's a character building moment.
She's just watching out.
Sounds lame.
All good answers. Jay, anything else?
Nope. I'll just say that Matt texted me some stuff earlier, and it's pretty interesting. That's about it.
Look,
Oh boy.
we now have a whole campaign focused around pudding coming up, so no.
Yeah.
It was just about
God
a
help me.
skateboarding dog or something.
No, it's a dog boat.
This is your fault, Matt.
Yeah.
You know,
Pudding
we
was
can
not
change-
mentioned until
You know
you.
you can't dangle threads like that.
and not expect us to bite.
You don't
that's
hang
about-
a thread in front of a cat and expect them
That's
not to
about
shout.
it.
Especially with
Okay.
Nadar.
Lava, we'll shift to you. So, highlight of the night. What you got?
Oh. Tanner and Nadar interacting at the end.
Uh,
Or just in general.
uh,
Like,
I'm just
hey,
like,
can you help me go to sleep? Sure. Fuck.
who's gonna
I've
kill
got
each
a
other
great
first?
idea.
And pudding.
Watch this.
Hey, y'all, watch this. All right. Anything else?
Pudding.
Of course.
The two things that I like spoke
Of
the most.
course. Dang it.
What else
All
do you
right.
expect from me, the chaotic?
Oh, I have to. Somebody in the chat when I was like, I made a deal. I had to give him a proposal. They're like, a marriage proposal. Just want to call that out. I was like,
Because he's in love with Omen.
I feel like Bex would like pay to see that union. Be like, Omen becomes one of us by marriage.
I'm not against it.
simple solution.
Yeah, but she's like, if I can't have her, nobody can.
Hashtag, hashtag Noman.
What?
Moment.
Hey, all that thing, all that
Alert.
was going through Nadar's head is like, how am I going to go kill that? Except for the lich dragon thing.
Yeah,
He's like-
we don't know how to deal with that.
Nadar's like, don't even
Yeah, that
show
whole
me
thing.
that thing. With,
All right. Mr. Liam, what about you, sir?
Favorite part?
Yeah,
I'd
highlight of the night. What you
say
got?
Asking Henrik about season 1 characters was fun. And be forgetting Ayla's name was pretty comical, I guess.
Yeah. That was a bit. Genuinely having no idea which one you were asking about, and they had completely different answers. So I was like, I don't know who we're talking about, and I don't know what to answer because they're very different answers. Oh gosh. Yep, that was good. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that one was the highlight. For me.
Okay. Miss Bex.
I know I like the banter between Tanner and Henrik, and also like how right when Millard was talking about bodies as playthings is when Richard like signed on. And I was like, oh good, Dial, do you have any comments about this?
Yeah. Totally missed the whole like potential groundbreaking information of Zal's entire integrity as a character. Good timing. That was nice. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, I don't know. Just like yeah, just trying to avoid looking at anyone's square directly because that might make me laugh. Yeah.
It's the worst because yours is right next to mine too, and it's like, well, I just have to look down.
Yep.
Bex regularly breaks me.
I'm just staring
right.
at like the blank space right here. Just like,
Yeah, just like don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact.
just like anywhere, just not that corner.
Okay. Mr. Richard.
Chief most number one thing was Sticky's glow up.
Sticky hit
Like,
puberty.
come on, you
What-
just glossed over that,
Sticky 2.0 in the house.
right?
God help me. Okay.
My next one was actually when Tanner was talking to Hendrik, and he says, you know, sometimes if you didn't make sense, you wouldn't make sense, and somehow that makes sense.
He gets it.
And
Guy gets it.
and then Liam just so nonchalantly, I'm asleep some distance away.
Yeah, exactly.
I was
wish that had
asleep.
just been like I think Bex was saying. I wish that had just been Mark saying that. I am asleep some distance away, sir.
I am asleep in the distance.
Oh, those are all solid moments. All right, and then Mr. Michael, aka Stormer, joined us for the first time as Tanner. Wonderful job tonight.
Second time.
Well, second time is first full episode, I suppose.
Fun.
Yeah, getting to join in and do your first full episode and first highlight of the night. So save you for the last one. So, Mr. Stormer, for you, what was the highlight of your night tonight?
So, as a massive Brandon Sanderson fan, my favorite part was all the PTSD. So
Fair. There's no shortage of that here.
No.
for those of y'all who have never read a Brandon Sanderson novel, he is very well known for just destroying his characters mentally.
Mm-hmm.
As is
So-
Mr. 2-Bit Lane.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty sure we all have pretty.
Sorry.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
I'm not saying 2-Bit is Sanderson, but I've never seen them in a room together.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good point.
I love Sanderson, but Matt would have to put on a pretty big fat suit for that role.
Oh.
How do we know he doesn't?
He's got a closet. All I'm saying is he's got a closet behind him, and based on the dimensions of his head, could fit a lot in that closet.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Stormer?
I did enjoy punching Nadar in the face. That was very satisfying.
I take enjoyment from other people beating me up.
It's gonna be
I've done the thing that I wanted to do since Nadar kept running into the freaking woods.
And I'll do it again if you don't stop.
this is one of those things. Of
And
like,
I'll do it again.
I'm just waiting
Can't
for
do
like
it
which character's gonna kill the other one first. Like, what's?
Nadar
Can't-
can't run if he doesn't
Well-
have legs.
Nadar is not the strongest person anymore either.
Oh.
No.
Yep, I suddenly got an upgrade.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So it's like
all of a
I
sudden
took
he
a
looks-
couple levels in fighter now.
I'm still at strength
Mark-
0.
Mark is all of a sudden his arms look a little more.
Yeah, he's like,
Mark
Mark,
found a
you been
belt of
hitting
giant
the gym
strength.
there, bud?
Yeah.
So
Push.
I'm pretty sure.
Mark's been lifting all those heavy tomes.
No, it's the,
Done
all that telekinetic
Right.
shoving, you know, it really works out.
Exactly.
Since it's like the only spell he's able to use right now. It's
so
jacked.
a couple of highlights in my mind. So I liked just the setup of what the intro of the episode was and giving you guys a platform to ask questions. Like, you know, the reality of it, like, it's not like you're not talking to the narrator. You know, Henrik is not someone who has all the answers necessarily, so it's not like he can answer every single thing you ask, but at least gave
He
you
has answers.
yeah, he's got some, and at least has ideas that might, you know, you can do whatever you want with. But for the first time in a while, at least, like, something's not trying to kill you around you immediately. So it's like, here's a safe space. Talk, say what you got to say, ask what you got to ask.
And we get
Safe
distracted by
space.
pudding.
Yeah, and then let that
Honestly,
go.
it felt like almost like a really good reset episode.
Yeah.
Like almost like an episode 1 where you just get to be like, okay, here's the context. We have a quest now.
Yep.
We've got everything hooked in. I really like that.
In a lot, it goes back to what I said at the beginning. In a lot of ways, like, you guys kind of just finished an arc, kind of, and like we're turning
Yeah.
the chapter to like
See-
a different one.
It did feel kind of like season 2 of Avatar, The Last Airbender, where it's like, oh, now we have to go do these
Yep.
things.
Now for these things.
I'm
This,
just really
this, and this.
disappointed. We didn't hear the quote that I redeemed for Henrik.
Was it in chat?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You got a private message to brother because I don't always see chat come through.
I thought you had seen it, which is why I had done that prompt. Like, what does Strahd like?
I'll do it. Just send it to me for later so that I'll make sure to do it in it. Well, I say I'll do it. Let me screen what you said.
What is
No,
Strahd's favorite color? We didn't ask that.
Yeah, but we also haven't talked with Strahd all that much.
That is an interesting quote, if any, but sure, I'll find a way to say it.
I've talked with him several times.
In when you least expect it.
Yeah.
This whole session was least expected stuff.
That was good.
No, it wasn't. It was very much so. This is what I expect from this group.
I did like the interchange between Tanner and Henrik. I thought that was fun to have like two completely different sides of it. You have the side where he's letting Tanner like kind of vent and let out frustrations, even though like quite clearly like between the two, like there's no power contention. Like if Henrik wanted to do something to Tanner, he just would. But like that's not the point. Like he understands the pain of what's happening in that moment and is just letting Tanner kind of get it out. So I thought that was a nice little moment. And then just it kind of just degraded from there with a slight pudding joke somewhere that just somehow really ran away from me.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't try to shift the blame, my guy.
I said ran away from me.
Pudding. You said Tanner needs pudding, and then you, sir, brought the bowl of pudding into existence.
Yeah.
That was you.
Yeah, I said it ran away from me. I'm not shifting the blame. Like that one's on me.
It was a nosedive.
Yeah. It's like, well,
Good nosedive.
for better or worse, when I find a bit, I commit to it. It's like we're here now. We're gonna keep doing this. Here
Like
we
the
go.
Michael Jackson acts.
Oh yeah. That's a different thing that most people probably didn't see. That was fun just to have that entire interplay, I suppose. Just getting to hear different things bring up from some of the characters just communicating to each other in this medium. And then like one little it's always fun seeing the little box of when I get to see that I've caught Richard off guard and he starts laughing, which is always a good one because that was like a random subtle one that I didn't expect to catch him off guard, but it was the freaking so I think all Tanner said was where there's a will, there's a way. And I was like, or a bunch of people fighting over some assets or a bunch of family members fighting over assets. And Richard just audibly laughed. I was like, oh, got him.
I didn't even, I'd forgotten to mute my mic and I was opened another tab and I didn't even have the cameras pulled up. And that one just that one hit me just right.
I noticed. I was like, oh, got him. Okay. Oh. Right place, right time. And then setting the stage up for like the future quest line, basically. So like you actually have a heading, you have these ideas of what you need to do. The specific one, at least right now, is Kenos. They'll focus on that, and then it's interesting to kind of like start this new arc, more or less, and see where things go from here. But it was a very weird episode in terms of its dynamic. Was just kind of like, I don't think it ever got sad necessarily, but there was some material that was covered that was sad material because it had to be, but we're too busy laughing at pudding, so there's just constant kind of a
I know Tanner's just over here trying to be pissed off, and y'all like pudding.
Yep. Welcome to the group, buddy.
Exactly.
This is what you have to look forward to.
Your membership card's in the mail.
This is what we got.
As soon as
Hopefully it sparkles.
You know what you got to do now. Yeah, you know what you have to do now. You're the only one that doesn't have a mini made after yourself, so now you got to make a Tanner.
Yeah.
and you have to stream it. I don't make the rules. Okay, so
I don't make the rules that I made. I
Last
just follow.
call.
Exactly.
last call for any questions in chat before we wrap up the night and
I have
go
a question.
go for it.
Do we get to long rest?
So that's something I was going to cover at the
Okay.
the end, but we'll just go ahead and say so. Everybody will get a long rest at the end of this, and everyone go ahead and congratulations, level 5.
Yay!
Yay! After one
I want to
episode.
now, not next week.
We should have recruited Tanner sooner.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We're level 5. I get extra. Or I get,
Level
fast
5.
movement.
I
Fast
get an
movement
extra
and-
attack.
I get an extra attack, and my speed increases by 10 feet as long as I'm not wearing heavy armor. And Nadar doesn't wear armor.
yes,
So I
SJ,
get-
you too.
I now actually technically, because of my double scimitar, I get 4 attacks. Because each time I take an attack at action, I can use my bonus action for another attack.
Cool. I can counter you 4 times. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
It's not important.
I'm confused. Yeah, because you only get 1 bonus.
Right. So it would be 3.
So I can counter you 3 times. Got it. whatever the number is. Got it. Understood. Loud and clear. Got it.
Yay.
All right. Any other questions from any of the players or chat before we sign off for the night? Going once, going twice. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up for the evening. Thank you guys so much for watching tonight and picking back up in what is kind of like the moving forward section of the story and shifting from one arc to the next, and interested to see where it's going to go. Thank you, Mr. Stormer, for hopping in with the group, and looking forward to see what you bring to the table with Tanner and all the shenanigans that will inevitably come with this fustercluck of a group dynamic. I said what I said. So,
Yeah. I'm not questioning it. I'm laughing at it.
interested to see where it goes. But yeah, so like we said, you can see any of these on YouTube later. So if you weren't able to watch all the stream and you'd like to watch it later, you can do !YouTube and chat at any point in time during or off the stream. So you can still pull up the stream, go to chat and say !YouTube, and it will still work. So that will give you a link for how you can go watch the episodes whenever you would like at your own leisure to be able to catch up and get anything that you missed. Next week, I'm still waiting for details on something. We want to be doing a Q&A sometime soon. I don't have the exact dates on it yet, but we'll make sure to update in Discord what we're going to do with that. So for now, we'll say tentatively, if I hear nothing else, next week will be a normal week. But there's potential sometime soon that we could do a Q&A instead. Either way, we will have a stream. So that is going to do it for tonight. Be on the lookout in Discord to see if we give any updates on what we might be doing next week, whether it be a normal episode or a Q&A. And we will be looking forward to seeing you guys, regardless of which of those is, for next week. So thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate every last one of you, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode. But until then, everybody say good night.
Good night, everyone.
Is it Tuesday yet?
Not good.
Pudding.
I'd just like to Misty Step to
Pudding.
next week.
Pudding.